So hello and welcome to my introductory video to R and RStudio. So in this session, we are just going to look at a general overview of R for beginners, and number two, how to do R and RStudio installation. So when we talk about R, this is a software system or a programming language that is basically used for advanced data analysis. So the next thing you need to know about this is that you can use R actually to achieve a graphical displays, let's say pie charts, histograms, and any other kind of graph. So this visualization, you can easily use R to achieve them. So the first thing that you need to do, of course, if you have your data, is to upload the data. Let's say it is an Excel file. There's a way that you can upload it. We are going to see this in next videos. And then after loading that, you can do data pre-processing, cleaning, and even do advanced analytics, for instance, machine learning and other data science related tasks, okay? So while you can actually use R alone, you can download and use R the way it is. It always become easier, okay, to use R using a software called RStudio. So RStudio is actually a user interface that has R integrated in it, so it improves the user the user experience when you want to use R. For instance, you can use it to create an R script. At the same time, you can actually see there's a section for seeing the variables you're typing, or even the codes that you're typing. You'll be able to see them when you're working with RStudio. Okay. And the RStudio also has the console where you can actually type your commands on the command line, okay, or the prompt of the R. So let's go directly to how we can install R. So we can just do this by going online and Google how to install, how to install R. Okay. So let's say just installing R. Okay, say installing R. So there are several options here, but I recommend you to go to this option for RStudio Desktop, because it will give you a link to download both, to install both R and also RStudio. Okay, although you can go to any here, yeah, it is not restricted. You can follow any of these tutorials to install R correctly in your desktop. But let's go to this where we have RStudio Desktop. So when you go to RStudio Desktop, you see here the procedure is first to install R and the second to install RStudio. Okay, so let's click here to install R. So it will bring you to this page where it will ask you to choose the option based on your operating system. So in our case, we are downloading R for Windows system, operating system. So when you click next, we will have this option. The first option is to install R for the first time. And this will be your case. So you say install R for the first time, okay? Then it will take you to this page where you will see now the version of R you want to install. So in this our case, we have R version 4.3.3, okay? So let's see, we can click on this download as RStudio. So download R. So you will see the download progress here. Now let's go back and download RStudio. So this one is very simple. You just click on download RStudio for Windows. So it is picking Windows because actually we are using Windows system. So you just say install RStudio, okay? And that you will see here we have 2 downloads that is ongoing currently, okay? So you just give them time and then they will download. So after our R and RStudio have been installed, so we can go to the File Explorer, okay? So let's click on File Explorer and go to Downloads. So you click on Downloads, okay? Let's go to Downloads. So when you click on downloads, you will see here we have we have here the R installed, and also the R installer installed, and also the RStudio. So what we want to do is, first of all, to set up R. So we are going to click on this R, the install. This is an installer, so you have to run it to complete the setup. Okay. So there will be this pop-up. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? So we're just going to say yes. Okay. And then you will proceed with the installation. So we want to use English, of course. So everything, we'll just click next and leave everything on default. Okay. So let's everything, and by default it will be on this folder. So we just click next and leave everything on default. So you will give it time for it to install. Okay. So you will see here, after everything has installed, it will give you here a message: complete the RStudio for Windows. So you just say click finish, so that you finish the installation process for R. Okay. So after you complete or finished installing R, you can go back to the desktop, and as you can see, you will see your downloaded R. So you can see here we have an icon for R version 4.3.3. So you can click on it and see if the setup, if it hasn't downloaded. So you can see we now have the R console here, where we can start typing. You can now start typing your R commands here. So this is R version 4.3.3, as you can see in this current line. Now, the best, another thing that you can do is to pin this downloaded R within your taskbar here, down here. So what I mean is, like, when you come here, you will just click on it. You can see I have several icons here, so you can bring R also. So when you want to do that, you just click on this R3.3, right? So you can see here. So we have pin to start. Okay. And as you can see, we have it here now. Okay. So that is another way of just ensuring that all of the times when you want to use this when you want to use this R, you can quickly access it within these taskbars. Okay. And that one will be simpler to use. So another simpler way of, because you can see here when we close R, it will disappear. Another simpler way to ensure that it is within the taskbar here is to come here to start, okay? And then let's search here, let's say R version 4. So because it is starting with version 4, so you can just say R4. Then you see here we have option for open, run as administrator. So we want to pin it to the taskbar, okay? So you just say pin to taskbar, okay? So if you pin it to taskbar, you'll be able to actually access or see it within the taskbar. So you can see here, R version 4. This has been pinned to taskbar. Okay, so that is how you can also pin it, so that you easily access it for usage. So as you can see now, we have our R in the taskbar here. So you can either click on this R, or you can click the one on the desktop. Okay, so whichever one. So let's click on this. You will still see the same thing. It will take us to the R console. Okay. So now let's go back and finish setting up the RStudio that we had already downloaded its installer. So let's go back to the File Explorer here and go to Downloads. Okay, remember we had already downloaded the RStudio installer. Okay, so we can just come here and now finish the setup by clicking on this installer. So let's click on it. Again, there will be the same pop-up. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? We will say yes. Okay. Now, the same way we did to R here, we just click next and leave everything by default. Okay. It will ask you to install. So it is installing. And so it will take some time again here to complete installing. And then we will also see it either from the start by searching in the start or also in the desktop. Okay. So the final thing here, after you've installed everything, now you will be informed here. If you want to complete the RStudio setup, then you click on finish. Okay. Yeah. So after RStudio has installed, let's go to the start here and then search for RStudio. Studio. So it's here. So we want also to pin it to the taskbar, okay, so that we can access it here. So let's just pin it to the taskbar. So as you can see, we can now see RStudio here. If you hover on it, it will tell you RStudio. So that is the first thing. So you can either click on this, the one on the taskbar, or let's say open RStudio at this point. So you just click on this for it to open RStudio. So it is taking some time to to open. So it is opening RStudio now. Okay. So all these just say by default, you say okay. So use machine default version of R. Yeah, so it means sometimes you can specify version, but this one we wanted to use the default one which we had installed. Okay. So we just say okay. So it is actually opening up. So as it opens up, you see here this interface, it has some positions here. We have here the option to add file or even add a new file to RStudio. So these are the ones you can explore by yourself, but the key one here will be this one for opening the file. Okay. But again, you need to know that we have console. So so it has just opened the file that I was using to do the introduction to R. But what you need to know is you can play around with these different sections of RStudio. So let's just open this section. So you can see here, this is the console, the downer section. This up section, it is the one that you can see the files you are working on. You're not seeing, but you can actually do the editing. So what you're seeing opened now by default is the R Markdown. It is a Markdown file. But if you're beginning R, the first file that you can create here, you can come here to File, and then go to New File, and then click on R Script. Okay. So when you click on this R Script, you can see it will give you an option to actually do writings here. And on your right section on top, there are always, you can see which, you can see the environment, which stores, for instance, the variables that you are coding for in R, the variables you are assigning, and even you can see the history of commands that you actually coded and other things. So let's see, for instance, here, you want to add two numbers. So you can go here to the console. Let's say you want to add 7 and then plus 8. Okay. So you see, as you are seeing the output here is 15, within your history, you can see it is also recording 7 plus 8. So the commands you are seeing here, they are the ones which I had, worked on previously, so don't worry about them. They are still stored within the environment. So when you want to, let's say we want to store a variable, let's say y, we want to store y, so you use a greater than sign, and then so this is the symbol for assigning. So this assume, take this one as equals to y equals to let's say 8. Okay, so you are told y equals to 8. Okay, when you store y is equals to 8, so when you go to this environment section, so let's just open it up. So you see here, you will have your value and then the value stored here. So y is equals to 8. If you want to store, let's say x is equals to assign x to let's say 10. Okay, so you see it is actually storing these values. So the good thing with this including this file here is because when you are writing these commands within your terminal, when you close this RStudio, you know, it will force you again to start again, right? So if you want to store and maybe later on you can proceed with the same file from where you stopped, you can store your codes in this file, which by now it is named untitled, but we can just say Control S, then we save it with the name that we want. So we can say here 7 plus 8, 7 plus 8. So when you say 7 plus 8 with the cursor, where it is blinking, if for you to get an output of this command, you come here and say run. So if you run, is when you will see an output at the console. So remember here, we are now not typing at the console, okay? If you want to say, let me assign y to again 10, okay? You can run it here and you can see the output here. Let's use another variable, let's say v, assign it to 50, okay? And then say run. So you will see an output here. You will see the environment also stored on this section. And now the good thing with this file, you can actually save it first time because is when we have opened it. So you can save it in any place you want in your desktop. So let's say R, maybe I always use underscores when naming files. R introduction. Okay, so you can just save it R introduction. So this is a R file, so it ends with .r. Okay, so you can actually select where you want to save this file, but by default it is in desktop. So you can save it, let's say in your drive, and then you select. So if you want to select, let's say downloads, you can select and save it in the downloads sections. Okay. So you can go to this PC and then select downloads. So it will save on downloads. Okay. So you can say local disk. Okay, so it is not a must that you go this long way. Okay, but let's go back to select users. Okay. So let's see if there is any other option. Yeah. So you go to users, then you go to HP, then you go to desktop. So you want to save it in desktop, but it depends on where you want to save yours. So this file will be saved to desktop. So when you go, let's say now we close this. Okay, then we just say save, right? So it will be saving this file. So let's just give it time. So after it has saved, you can now see we have this file that we had actually created. So let's click on it. So when you click on this file, it will automatically open in RStudio, okay? Because it's actually the file already by default opens any file that ends with .r. It opens it in R with RStudio. So let's go back to desktop. Okay, let's go back to. You can go to desktop. So you see, this is the file that we have created. So as I've said, this file, when you automatically set it up to be open up by RStudio, it will open by default. But that cannot be the case always. So if you want to select the software that you want to use to open this R with, you can just say, you can just click on it. Okay. So you just come here and select on it. So you see here, it is by default by default it is being opened by this software. Okay, this is VS Code. This is another software that is used for opening files and editing. But for us, we want to open with RStudio. So you can come here and say open with. So you can see RStudio and select RStudio. Okay, so when you select RStudio, the file will take you to the RStudio interface with the file, and also all the contents that were in the file, you will see them still. And now you can proceed working from there if you want to do any update. So you can see we are back to our RStudio, and you can see now the environment is very clean. So you can proceed and add any code here. Okay. So if you want to say 90 times 6, so in R, you use a star symbol to mean multiplication. So, and then you can run that, okay? And then if you want to store another variable again, the same thing, come here and store g is equals to 70 and run. So you see, if you assign any variable, now it will start to be stored within the environment. If you go to history, you see, when I opened this this file, I've actually wrote down two codes. This is 90 times 6 and G assigned to 70. Okay. Now, the final thing about this RStudio is this downer section. So this downer section here is basically the one for visualizing the files. So if you want even to open a file from this section, you can actually come to these files and navigate to which file you want to actually see. Okay. And when we were to plot values here, we are going to see that one in the next lessons. So if you plot, use a plot function here, you will always visualize it on this section, okay, for doing the plot. Now, the next thing which is important in R is always to install packages. Now, this is because when you download R, it comes with basic yes functions, or we call them inbuilt functions, but there are a lot of advanced functions that you will need additional packages to install. So you can manually install a package by coming here, okay? So you can see when you click on packages, you click on install, and then when you can type the package that you want to install here. So a good example would be, let's say, tidyverse. So this one we will learn what it does later, but if you want to install it manually, just select on it, and then you click on install. So it will take some time to install. And how do you know that it is installing? You can see here a red button here that is actually blinking. So this shows the download is ongoing. However, later on, we will see that you can also write a command just within this script to do the install rather than doing it manually. So for instance, you can just come here and say install packages, okay, install.packages, and then in quotation marks you say tidyverse. Yeah, so if you can, this thing is very simple. Remember, in coding you might have typed the name wrongly, so you can look online what is the right name and be able to debug your codes, which is really very important skill. So in summary, in this RStudio session, this is the right section. You right here, okay, where I'm hovering on. You see you see at this point, you see, and the environment section and the history. So you see, you can see, okay, and then file exploration on this down left, the left corner, the right corner section, and then finally the R console is at this down left, okay, or bottom left section. So I will stop at that point. This will take some time, but in future we will use these packages, and see you in my next video. Thank you.